Hello everyone and welcome to Trending in My Life. Podcast episode 101. Heatwave happenings. Yes, I think we're in the middle of a heatwave. At least it feels like a heatwave to me. Even if they haven't officially pronounced it as a heatwave. I mean, it's May and it's 30 centigrade outside. And that's too hot for me. To give you an instance, I was up at about 6:15 this morning and I was on a train at 7 o'clock and I was in Belgravia in central London at 7:30 in the morning filming flower displays. There's a festival at the moment going on in Belgravia called Belgravia in Bloom, and the businesses there have some fantastic flower displays over the door and outside the shop fronts, and they're incredible creations that have been put in place as part of this. I think it's a 4-day event. But, I mean, I should imagine they'll just leave them there until they wilt enough that they're going to have to take them down. But it was lovely. And part of it being heatwave weather to me is that I get up really early and for a weekend and I travel early to get where I need to be. So I was actually home by 10 o'clock and I'd done all the filming and travelled back and also done some food shopping on the way home. So that I wouldn't have to go out again. I did actually go out again, but only to the local shops. Anyway, it made me think about when the weather is sort of heat wave level, how it affects our behaviour. And that's why this is called heat wave happenings, because it happens that I'm doing my filming in a different way. I would often go at sort of 9 o'clock or even 8:30 to get to a location to do filming, but I certainly am not normally on a train at 7 o'clock in the morning. But when I got up at 6:15, it was already 20 degrees and I knew it was going to get a lot hotter. So I thought I need to get out, get this done and come back, because I'm really a shady side of the road kind of person. You know, I don't like being in full sun, and I'm wearing my sun hat and I've got my arms covered. And yeah, I was using actually my UVA umbrella that I bought off Amazon haul with the black inside of it, which has SPF 50, so that it's supposed to withstand the sun and keep you cool underneath it. And I've used that a lot in the past week since the temperatures have been shooting up. But yes, happenings. I noticed that on the 7 o'clock train into Victoria this morning, I walked down to the platform and there was loads of people there at 7 o'clock in the morning. I had to walk through several carriages to get a seat. And I thought, well, it's a bank holiday weekend. I'm sure a lot of them are going to catch another train to somewhere else. So this is the early start to their day. Lots of cases, so I guess they could have been going to the airport, to Heathrow or something. But then on my way back, I'm trying to think what time the train was on my way back. I think it was 9:10, something like that. And equally, I was on a train that I had to walk through carriage after carriage after carriage, trying to find a seat. And I could understand that because people were on their way out of London to presumably the train's end location was a beach location, so a lot of them would have been headed in that direction. But it was full of families and couples, and some of them had folding chairs and big coolers and stuff like that. So they were clearly, their weekend, because of the weather, had changed in what they were taking with them, and maybe for some of them changed in that they were heading for the sea. They were heading for a beach because of the hot weather. But it made me, I looked around me and I thought, how many of these people are going to be coming back on the train this evening a lobster colour? Because it was one of those days where I didn't notice so much in Belgravia because it's built up, high buildings and stuff, but I definitely noticed when I got off the train in my home location that there was a breeze, and I thought there's nothing worse than a breeze with hot weather because you catch the sun far more easily, and you get sunburnt far more easily. And it might be that people are self-aware now that they are putting on sunscreen to go on a trip out in this weather, but then they forget that they have to renew it. SPF 50 is only going to last 50 minutes, and then you have to put it on again. And people don't remember to do that, and that's how they get sunburnt. I've mentioned in another video podcast that I'm using a rollerball sunscreen on my face at the moment, and it is very convenient, but I've noticed I'm starting to get some spots as well, which isn't so convenient. And I think it's because it creates that sort of layer on your skin that it's trapping any tiny speck of dust, which will then turn into a spot. So yeah, I don't quite know how to deal with it at the moment. It might just be that my nose is the bit that I have to put some other type of sunscreen on. We'll see. And you think, oh no, it's another problem because of the heat wave. I don't feel I can go out without being loaded up with sunscreen, which is a fair comment. I do need to have it on. It's just finding a type that agrees with my skin. And like I said, I had been enjoying the roller type thing, because I think with your face, it's a bit harder to do a spray. It gets in your hair, and it's not as easy as when you can sort of spray oil your arms and legs and stuff like that. But yeah, heat wave, and of course it changed our behaviour, not only if we're going somewhere, but it changes our behaviour in our routines and what we do. Like normally on a Saturday, I would include running errands and doing chores and stuff. And I'd said this weekend, it's 3-day weekend, I need to mow the grass. I don't want to do both in a day. And I was going to do the front. The front has gone really weird. It's still fairly flat, but then there's lots of single strands of grass sticking up about 6 inches in the air. And I'm like, how did that happen? But it looks a mess. It needs doing. And I think when it's at the front of the house and you've got a street where people walk past, they're going to notice that it needs doing. And I don't like the house to look neglected since it's a rented house. So yeah, I do need to do that. But as soon as the temperatures went so high, I thought there's no way I am mowing grass in 30 degrees centigrade. It's just, you don't want to give yourself a heart attack. It's just not on. So I'm living with those long strands of grass. They can just stay there. I did consider going out and just snipping a few with a pair of scissors, and I thought there's so many, there just wouldn't be any point. Yeah, and the thing on the trains as well, as soon as you're on the trains, they're making announcements telling you to carry water with you all the time, and good advice. But when I'm packing like camera equipment to take with me and stuff like that, I also need to remember to take enough water to last me however long I'm filming, which normally I would take maybe half a bottle of water, something like that, from a weight point of view, not to have to carry something heavy. And that's okay if I'm in a location where I can buy water, because I can drink that and then I can buy some more. But yeah, I had a full bottle today, and then I bought some when I was out as well. It was really weird actually. I was walking through Belgravia, which I wouldn't have gone if I wasn't filming. It's not an area I frequent. There are very expensive cars, very expensive shops, and I noticed how quiet a lot of those streets are. Let's be fair, I was there very early in the morning. I'm sure lots of people who live there were asleep, but yeah, it had a sense of peace about it. And lots of the buildings in that area are painted white, and the streets were very clean. Yeah, it was very quiet until you reach traffic, obviously. And yeah, very unusual experience for me when I'm filming. I don't usually experience it so quiet. I usually experience it busy and having to sort of wait to get a shot and stuff like that. So I was glad I'd gone early in the morning, and like I said, that was only due to the heat. That was why I went at that time of day. But my routine at home is different as well, with the temperatures up. I mean, at the moment, I just checked, I've got a thermometer thing in my bedroom, and it says it's 28 degrees up in my bedroom. Not going to be up there anytime soon. It's only about 24, I would say. down 23. I can see the clock says it down in the living room, which is where I'm recording this. It is much cooler downstairs than it is upstairs. The sun seems constantly in one side or the other upstairs, and yet it doesn't seem to reach so far into the rooms downstairs. It must be how the direction the house is built in. But yes, I will spend more time downstairs in the living room because of it being nice and cool for me. And very tempted to sleep down here last night because the rooms upstairs are just so hot. And I did a thing today. I hung up there's no blind or curtain or anything in the bathroom. It's just, the frosted glass thing. But the trouble is, when that has the sun on it in the afternoon, which is the direction of the house, it gets like an oven in there, which then transfers to the hallway and into the rest of the rooms upstairs. So I thought, well, I know the last house we lived in had a small bathroom window, and we used to hang up like a hand towel over it when the sun hit it. So I'd just done some washing, and I hung up 2 pieces of clothing over the windows. So I didn't put them in the dryer, I just hung them on the windows, which they dried lovely, but it helped block the sun coming in. And yeah, it helped a lot to keep it cooler upstairs. But I'm recording this at just gone 6 o'clock, and I've just been upstairs, and it only worked for a certain amount of time because it's definitely too hot up there. So, and yeah, this is the thing. You hear that refrain everywhere you go. People walking along the street, people travelling on public transport, people shopping. You'll hear them go, "It's just too hot." And I think you have to reasonably allow for your behaviour to change so that you adjust to that temperature. If you normally go out shopping and you're in shops that are air conditioned, then when you step outside, you suddenly feel like that heat hits you. And if you've got to walk back home or to get transport or whatever, that can feel overwhelming at that point. And it's making those adjustments and saying to yourself, oh, we're going to town a little bit earlier so that it's not so hot when we travel home. There's always that thing, isn't there? It's between 11 and 3 or something is the peak times where you don't want to be out in the sun, kind of thing. So equally, you don't want to have to try and get back to wherever you came from at that time of day, because it is extremely hot at that time of day, and you'll be struggling to get through that heat. So yeah, it kind of makes you stay home more. That's the other thing, I'm reading more of my Kindle. I'll do something and then think, oh, okay, I'm tired now. I'm going to read my Kindle for half an hour before I do anything else. And it's like, even if you have a usual routine of like cleaning the house and doing stuff, you might not do it this weekend. You might not do it in a heat wave because it's exhausting and your muscles ache and feel swollen when you're working in the heat like that. So I went out twice today. I went out this morning filming, and I just went to the local shops to get some ice cream. Only a 20-minute there and back kind of thing. But even that much I felt was too much on my way back. And but ice cream, it's just got to be done. And that's another thing, people's buying habits change as soon as it's very hot weather. The salads are flying off the shelf because people can't be bothered to cook meals or to eat anything big. They just don't have the appetite for it. But what they do have an appetite for is ice cream or ice lollies or frozen yogurt. It's those type of things. And when I got off the train this morning on my way home, I went and got some food shopping. I didn't get ice creams at that point, but at that point I could see that the freezer section where the ice creams are kept in the supermarket I was in was very run down in the amount of supplies. And then this afternoon I only went to a tiny little shop to get some. And again, very run down in the supply. So when I went out, I was like, oh yeah, I'll get this type of ice cream. I wanted a cornetto type, and yeah, that wasn't going to happen because they didn't have any. And when you've actually walked somewhere in the heat to fetch ice cream, you'll pretty much have whatever they've got, because you are not going back empty-handed, and it's too far to walk anywhere else. So yeah, didn't get my cornettos. I'd read on my Kindle a book with a story that this family, they all had cornettos when it was a special occasion in the family, and it's kind of stayed with me, and I just like having cornettos in the freezer. And there are the flake, the 99 flakes, which are extra special, but I tend to buy just the regular box of cornettos, because you can get like caramel or toffee, you can get mint, you can get strawberry, but the point is you get 6 in a box. And quite often with ice creams, especially like the ones that are on a stick, they're now like 3 in a box. And it's like, that's not many. And they're charging you about £4.50 for that. And then you can get your cornettos, which are 6 in a box, and for a lot less money, and they last you longer. So, you know, I want to be able to get to go to the freezer and there be something in it, not just empty. So if I bought a box of 3, the next day there probably wouldn't be any. And that's another thing, heatwave type weather, I'll have an ice cream and then half an hour later I'll want another one, because I don't particularly want dinner, but I will eat ice cream. So yeah, that's a happening that happens with heat waves. I don't swim, but I suppose for people that do, heatwave weather is a time when they will go swimming, either in the sea or at a pool, or, you know, a spa or a gym that has a pool. And if they're staying in a hotel, they'll want to use the pool much more than if it's cooler weather. Oh yeah, the other thing is clothing, because not very long ago, only a week or 2 ago, I was still in much more wintry stuff. We had a sort of glitch in our spring here in London, where we were into that springy weather and things were warming up a bit, and suddenly it went to torrential rain and a lot cooler, and then now we've gone back up to a heat wave. So I've had a mix of stuff in my wardrobe, from summery stuff to wintry stuff, and I feel like now I can properly swap things over to more summery stuff. It was really annoying the other day. I wanted to get a hat out of a small suitcase, which is, I wear a sun hat, and you'll have seen in the videos it's blue, but there is the one that I wear over the summer, which is white with like I don't know how to describe this, a sort of mottly blue effect. That doesn't sound very nice. Tie-dye, a bit like a tie-dye effect in it, but white with pale blue, and I like that to use over the summer, and it has a bigger brim, which is better for me because it shades me more. So I went into this little suitcase, and it's been in the bottom of the wardrobe, but I couldn't find it, which means it must be in the big suitcase in the other wardrobe. And then it's like, but I have to move everything to get that out. That's a big job, and it's a heat wave, and I don't want to do it. So yeah, and then I found this little straw hat, which I've barely ever used, and I thought, oh, that'll do. So I used that to walk to the local shops, and my head was hot. So, because I'm like, it's a straw hat, it's full of holes, you know. So you should feel cool, but then I was forgetting that the air outside is 30 degrees. So my head wasn't cool, and it was a bit itchy with the straw, and I definitely am going to have to haul that big case out of the other wardrobe and look for my hat. Yeah. So that's another thing. But people will be rummaging through clothes that they've packed away. Suddenly all the men are in shorts, and it's like they can't all have gone out and bought them. I'm sure some of them were rummaging through drawers and wardrobes to find their shorts from last summer to wear, and sandals everywhere as well. It's another thing I think the heat wave does. Your brain doesn't seem to work quite as quickly or quite as efficiently as normal. You feel slower, you feel more sluggish, and yeah, that's the byproduct of a heat wave. I must admit, I mean, I talked about the people heading off to the seaside and like going back in time to when I was looking ahead to this. Then I definitely had planned to go to the sea as my next day trip. It didn't need to be edited and out for a while because I've just done a day trip to Tunbridge Wells and the steam train. But I thought, oh yeah, my next one is going to be a beach because I haven't done a beach for a while. And I'd got a couple of places in mind, but they were a bit further away on the train. And at some point, the sort of further from where I am is the same as if I went into Central and went further in a different direction to a beach. So I was in two minds which direction to go in, and I'm glad that I hadn't decided, because when I saw how busy the trains were, I thought this would have been a really bad idea. And of course, with the heat, I wouldn't have liked being in a beach location I usually stop at least a couple of hours, because I'd have been stressing about getting sunburnt. I would have been, walking around in the heat. If I'm at a location to film for 2 hours, all I do is walk and film. So you can't be doing that if it's a heat wave, because you'll just pass out basically. So, oh look, there's a woman with the GoPro. Oh, she's down. So yeah, not happening. So that'll have to wait for a much cooler weekend. And I mean, May, we are slipping into June soon, which is the start of the summer. It just depends these days, doesn't it? It seems like the weather goes up and down all the time. You can have what people would call a good summer in the UK, where the temperatures stay at 30, 32, 34, something like that. But for me, I would find that limiting with what I can do for going out, and then I actually film closer to home. It doesn't stop me filming, but I will do that. I've got another Amazon haul video to do, but I do one once a month, and I'm doing a twist on it this time. So you'll have to wait and see for that one. Anyway, I think I've rambled enough. So if you're changing your behaviour due to the heat wave, then good for you, because you do have to adjust, and there's no harm in that. You want to do what makes you comfortable, and if all you want to do is watch YouTube, then that's fine. Pass the ice cream, the big gallon of water that you're working your way through, and just chill. That is probably as relaxing as it can get for your body anyway, and will do you good. So I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Please like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend, and come back next time. Bye for now.